The sun begins its slow, golden descent over the horizon, casting long, amber shadows across the rippling surface of the great river, where the water flows with a quiet, ancient patience that has remained unchanged for thousands of years. As you stand upon the silken banks, the air is warm and heavy with the scent of sun-baked earth and the faint, sweet perfume of blooming lotus flowers drifting on a breeze that seems to carry the very breath of time itself. You feel the world slowing down as the distant rhythmic splash of a wooden oar against the current becomes the only heartbeat in this vast, silent landscape. The Nile is not merely water, it is a silver thread weaving together the dreams of pharaohs and the simple lives of the fellahin who have tended these emerald fields since the dawn of memory. Here, the transition from day to night is a sacred ritual, a gradual fading of the vibrant turquoise sky into a deep velvet indigo, dusted with the first pale glimmer of stars that once guided the celestial barks of the gods. Every grain of sand beneath your feet, every rustle of the tall, swaying papyrus reeds tells a story of a land that was born from the embrace of the river and the desert, a place where the cycle of life, death, and rebirth is written into the very stone of the earth. And as you close your eyes, you can almost hear the soft, melodic hum of the desert wind, whispering secrets of a civilization that looked toward the heavens and built monuments to touch the stars. This land, this Kemet, the Black Land, reveals itself not in the noise of the modern world, but in the quiet gaps between heartbeats, where the heat of the day lingers in the limestone and the shadows grow long enough to touch the past. Imagine the weight of the air, thick with the dust of empires, yet surprisingly fresh near the water's edge, where the green life clings to the silt with a desperate, beautiful intensity. The desert beyond is a sea of fire and gold, an endless expanse of silence that hums with a low, vibrational energy. And as the first stars appear, you realize that the sky above Egypt is the same sky that the architects of the pyramids studied, looking for the path to the afterlife. There is no rush here, no urgency, only the steady pulse of the river, carrying the sediment of the mountains to the sea, a journey that has lasted for millions of years and will continue long after the last stone has turned back to dust. You are drifting now, sinking into the soft, warm embrace of the evening as the world dissolves into shades of blue and charcoal, and the only thing that remains is the feeling of being home, in a place you have never been but have always known. The Great Pyramids, those silent geometric giants, stand as the ultimate anchor to this reality, their sharp edges softened by the twilight, looking like mountains made by the hands of giants. You can feel the coolness starting to rise from the sand, a refreshing contrast to the baking heat of the afternoon, and the silence of the Giza Plateau becomes a sanctuary, a space where the echoes of thousands of workers, priests, and kings seem to vibrate in the very atmosphere. It is a place of profound, heavy stillness, where the mind can finally rest, unburdened by the trivialities of the present. The Sphinx, with its weathered face and leonine body, gazes eternally toward the rising sun, a symbol of wisdom and strength that has outlasted every conqueror. And as you watch the moon climb higher, illuminating the desert in a ghostly silver light, you feel the ancient magic of this land settling into your bones like a warm, familiar weight. The Nile flows, the stars turn, and you are simply here, breathing, being, part of the eternal tapestry of Egypt. As the twilight deepens, the river Nile transforms into a dark, liquid mirror, reflecting the infinite canopy of the Egyptian sky. And you find yourself wondering about the millions of souls who have stood on these same banks, looking up at these same constellations thousands of years ago. There is a strange, comforting weight to the air here, a thickness that feels like the presence of history itself leaning in to whisper its secrets. The mud beneath the palms is cool now, damp and rich with the minerals of the Ethiopian highlands, brought here by the floodwaters that once dictated the very pulse of human existence. You can almost feel the earth breathing, a slow, rhythmic expansion and contraction that matches the rising and falling of the tides. And the swaying of the date palms, their fronds rustling like old parchment, creates a soundtrack of soft, dry clicks and sighs. It is in this stillness that you begin to understand the Egyptian concept of Ma'at, the eternal balance, the cosmic order that keeps the stars in their paths and the river in its bed. Everything is connected: the stone, the water, the wind, and you drifting in the center of this ancient harmony. Let the silence of the desert floor enter your mind, a silence that is not empty, but full of the echoes of 1,000 lost languages. Imagine the desert not as a wasteland, but as a vast golden ocean, where the dunes are waves frozen in time, sculpted by a wind that has traveled across the continent just to touch your face. The heat of the day has left the surface, but if you dig your fingers just a few inches into the sand, you can still feel the warmth of the afternoon, stored like a memory of the afternoon. This contrast, the cool night air and the warm earth, creates a sensation of being cradled, of being held by the land itself. In the distance, the silhouettes of the mud brick villages begin to twinkle with small, flickering lights as families gather around cooking fires, the scent of baking aish baladi bread, earthy and charred, drifting across the fields to meet you. It is a smell that hasn't changed since the time of the Middle Kingdom, the simple, honest aroma of survival and community, and it anchors you to the present, even as your spirit wanders through the corridors of the past. The river carries you further now, mentally drifting downstream, past the hidden tombs of the Valley of the Kings, where the silence is even deeper, a subterranean quiet that feels solid and protective. You think of the artists who worked by the light of oil lamps, painting vibrant blue and gold scenes of the journey through the duat, the underworld, their brushstrokes still fresh after 3 millennia, because the dry, breathless air of the desert has preserved them like a held breath. There is a profound, moving intimacy in knowing that the human hand which painted those stars is long gone, but the stars themselves and the devotion that guided the brush remain. This is the gift of Egypt, the realization that nothing is ever truly lost, it only changes form, flowing like the water, shifting like the sand. And as the moon reaches its zenith, casting a pale ivory glow over the entire valley, you feel a sense of total, effortless release. The world is vast, the history is long, and for now, it is enough to simply be a witness to this eternal, shimmering beauty, as you fall deeper and deeper into the velvet embrace of the night. As you linger in this state of suspended time, you begin to notice the smaller, more delicate details that make up the soul of the riverbank. The way the moonlight catches the crystalline structures in the sand, making the desert floor look as though it has been strewn with crushed diamonds, reflecting the light of the stars in a quiet, shimmering dialogue. The Nile is a master of reflection, not just of light, but of the very spirit of the land. And as you watch a cluster of white egrets settle into the high, swaying grass, their movements are like slow-motion flourishes of silk, effortless and silent. There is a profound meditative quality to the way the water laps against the hull of a moored wooden boat, a sound that is less like a splash and more like a liquid sigh, recurring in a heartbeat rhythm that lulls the senses into a deeper, more restorative peace. You can almost feel the weight of the centuries pressing softly against you, like a warm, heavy quilt, woven from the stories of every fisherman, every merchant, and every traveler who has ever sought solace in these waters. Beyond the immediate green of the banks, the limestone cliffs of the plateau rise up like the bleached bones of the earth, their surfaces scarred by the winds of millennia, yet standing with an immovable, regal dignity. These cliffs have seen the rise and fall of dynasties, the building of temples, and the slow, patient erosion of stone into sand. And in the moonlight they take on a ghostly, ethereal glow, looking more like clouds than solid rock. You find yourself imagining the ancient quarrymen working with copper chisels and wooden wedges, extracting the massive blocks that would become the foundations of eternity. The sheer scale of their ambition, their refusal to be forgotten by time, is palpable in the very air you breathe. It is an energy that is both humbling and strangely comforting, a reminder that while our individual lives are but a flicker of a candle, we are part of a flame that never truly goes out. Now, let your awareness drift into the deep subterranean coolness of the earth, where the roots of the ancient sycamore trees reach down to touch the groundwater. These trees, with their twisted, silver-gray trunks, have stood as silent witnesses for generations, providing shade for weary travelers and homes for the sacred owls whose hooting echoes through the night. The scent of the trees is subtle, a mix of dry wood, sap, and the cool, mineral smell of the shadow. It is a scent that speaks of endurance, of finding nourishment in the middle of the desert, of the hidden life that thrives beneath the surface. As the night air becomes even stiller and the stars above seem to pulse with a slow, rhythmic light, you feel every muscle in your body beginning to let go, releasing the tension of the day, the week, the year. You are here, in the cradle of civilization, where the river flows, the desert waits, and the soul remembers how to rest, like a child held in the eternal arms of Mother Nile. As you move deeper into the heart of the valley, away from the grand monuments, you find yourself in the intimate embrace of the Egyptian village, where life is measured not by hours, but by the tasks of the sun and the river. The homes here are made of the earth itself, thick walls of sun-dried mud brick that keep the interior cool and quiet, like a sanctuary from the world's noise. You can feel the texture of the plastered walls, rough and honest beneath your fingertips, and see the vibrant blue doors that reflect the color of the Nile, a symbol of protection and peace. Inside, the rooms are sparse and clean, the floors covered in woven reed mats that smell of dried grass and the open fields. There is a profound, quiet dignity in this simplicity, a way of living that has discarded the unnecessary and focused on the essential. You see a wooden loom in the corner, its threads of white cotton waiting for the morning light, a craft passed down from mother to daughter for generations, the same cotton that once clothed priests and queens. In this space, you realize that the culture of Egypt is not just found in stone temples, but in the way a family gathers around a low wooden table, sharing a bowl of steaming fava beans and fresh herbs, their voices low and melodic, a soft murmur that blends with the evening wind. The sacred in the ordinary. There is a spiritual resonance that vibrates through the daily habits of the people, a quiet, unshakable faith that binds the past to the present. You notice how the rhythm of the day is punctuated by the call to prayer, a hauntingly beautiful melody that floats over the rooftops and curls around the palm trees, a reminder of the infinite in the middle of the mundane. But even before the modern era, this land was filled with the presence of the divine, and you can still feel it in the way people treat the bread they bake, never letting a piece touch the ground, calling it aish, which means life itself. To live in Egypt is to walk between two worlds, the world of the living and the world of the ancestors, who are never truly gone, but remain as part of the family lineage. You see it in the small blue amulets hung over doorways to ward off the evil eye, and in the way stories are told with wide gestures and bright eyes, as if the heroes of the past were just in the next room. This connection to the unseen creates a sense of security, a feeling that you are never truly alone, because the land itself remembers you, and the stars above are the same eyes that watched over your forefathers. It is a culture of endurance, of laughter in the face of hardship, and a hospitality so warm that it feels like being wrapped in a sun-drenched cloak. The wisdom of the river. The Nile is the ultimate teacher of this land, and its wisdom is one of patience and surrender. You watch as a farmer, a fellah, walks along his narrow irrigation channel, guiding the water with a simple wooden hoe, his movements as fluid and certain as the current itself. He does not fight the river, he collaborates with it, understanding that everything comes in its own time and that the flood will always bring the gift of life. This philosophy of Inshallah Allah, if God wills it, is the golden thread that runs through the soul of Egypt. It is not a sign of passivity, but a profound acceptance of the flow of the universe, a recognition that we are small in the face of time, but significant in our place within the cycle. As you sit on the bank, watching the silhouette of a water buffalo grazing in the reeds, you feel this same surrender taking root in your own heart. The worries of the future and the regrets of the past dissolve into the dark water, leaving only the pure crystal clarity of the now. You are part of this ancient, breathing organism, a participant in a story that began before the first word was written. And as the night air turns crisp and cold, you pull your shawl tighter, feeling a deep cellular gratitude for the simple, magnificent fact of being alive in this sacred valley. The spine of the continent. To truly understand Egypt, you must imagine it from a great height, as a long, slender leaf of green life resting upon a vast, scorched table of stone. The Nile is the spine of this land, a 6,000-mile journey that begins in the heart of Africa, gathering the rains of the mountains and the tears of the Great Lakes just to deliver them to this desert. It is a geological miracle, a lone, persistent artery of water that defies the surrounding emptiness. You can feel the sheer scale of this struggle, the way the river has carved its path through the limestone and granite for millions of years, creating a sanctuary for life in a place where none should exist. This is not just geography, it is a testament to the power of persistence, the way a soft, constant flow can eventually reshape the hardest rock. As you look toward the horizon, where the green fields end abruptly, giving way to the harsh, orange wall of the desert, you realize how fragile and precious this balance is. It is a thin line between existence and void, a delicate, shimmering ribbon that has held the weight of civilization for over 5,000 years, without ever faltering, without ever turning back. The layers of empire. Beneath the surface of the modern landscape, Egypt lies in layers like the rings of an ancient tree, each one representing a different era of human ambition and faith. First, there is the foundation of the Old Kingdom, the age of the Sun Kings who built in mountains of stone, followed by the elegance of the Middle Kingdom and the imperial glory of the New Kingdom, when Egypt's shadow reached far into Asia. But history here did not stop with the pharaohs. You can feel the presence of the Greeks in the salt air of Alexandria, the influence of Rome in the fortresses along the river, and the spiritual depth of the Coptic Christians in the hidden desert monasteries. Then came the Islamic era, bringing the intricate, lace-like stone carvings of the mosques and the vibrant, bustling energy of the medieval markets. Each of these layers has left its mark, not just in the monuments, but in the DNA of the people, the language, and the very atmosphere of the land. You are walking through a living museum, where a Roman column might support a medieval roof, and an ancient hieroglyph might be found carved into a stone used for a humble village wall. It is a place where time does not pass in a straight line, but circles back on itself, folding the past into the present until they are one and the same. The eternal horizon. The geography of Egypt is defined by a sense of infinity, a landscape that stretches the mind and humbles the spirit. To the east and west lies the Sahara, a space so vast that it creates its own weather, its own silence, and its own rules. It is a place where the horizon is not a boundary, but a gateway to the unknown, a reminder that the world is much larger than our individual lives. The ancient Egyptians called the desert the Red Land, a place of chaos and danger, yet they respected it as the source of their minerals, their gold, and their protection. They saw the sun rise over the eastern desert as a symbol of birth, and watch it set over the western desert as a symbol of the journey into the afterlife. This cosmic orientation gave their lives a profound sense of purpose and direction, a feeling that they were part of a great design. As you stand in the stillness of the night, with the desert wind cooling your brow, you can feel this same sense of order settling over you. The scale of the land, the depth of its history, and the steady flow of its river all work together to remind you that you are a small but essential part of an eternal story, a story that is written in the stars, carved in the stone, and carried forever in the heart of the Nile. Now, as the deepest hour of the night settles over the valley, the world seems to pull a velvet veil over its eyes. The last echoes of the day have long since faded, and even the river, the great Nile, seems to flow with a more muffled, more secretive sound. You find yourself reclining in a space of absolute safety, where the air is no longer a physical presence, but a cool, weightless caress that lulls your body into a state of total surrender. Your breath has slowed, becoming a quiet, rhythmic mirror to the swaying of the palms outside your window. Each inhale draws in the peace of the desert, and each exhale releases the last remnants of the world's weight, leaving you light, buoyant, and ready to drift away. The room is filled with a soft charcoal darkness, broken only by a single slender beam of moonlight that rests upon the floor like a silver path leading back to the beginning of time. There is nothing left to do, nothing left to see, only the pure, effortless sensation of being held by the ancient earth as it turns slowly beneath the gaze of the infinite stars. In this sacred, suspended moment, you realize that the journey you have taken is not just across a landscape, but through the very fabric of your own spirit. The Nile that flows through the heart of Egypt is the same river of life that flows through you, steady, eternal, and wise. You can feel your consciousness expanding, softening at the edges, until you are no longer separate from the sand, the stone, or the water. You are the whisper of the wind through the papyrus. You are the heat stored in the limestone of the pyramids, and you are the light of the stars that has traveled through the void just to touch this land. This is the peace that the ancients sought, the realization that we are made of the same stardust as the gods, and that our stories are etched into the same eternal tablets. There is a profound, heavy comfort in this connection, a sense that you have come home to a place that has always known your name. The shadows are your friends, the silence is your sanctuary, and the night is a vast, dark ocean that invites you to submerge yourself in its healing, restorative depths. The world is now a distant memory, a flickering candle that has finally been extinguished, leaving only the calm, radiant presence of the night. You are drifting now, moving beyond the reach of words, beyond the reach of time. The great Sphinx keeps its watch in the distance, guarding the threshold of your dreams, while the river carries you gently toward the horizon of sleep. The stars above are pulse points of light, blinking slowly as if they too are nodding off in the cosmic cradle. Feel the deep cellular relaxation spreading through your limbs, your heart beating in a slow, golden rhythm, a steady, peaceful drum in the vast cathedral of the night. You are safe, you are loved, and you are part of the eternal tapestry of Egypt. The Nile flows, the desert waits, and you are finally, perfectly at rest. Let the darkness fold around you like the wings of a protective deity, leading you into a dreamless silver slumber, where the past and the future are one, and the soul is free to wander the halls of eternity. Sleep now, under the watch of the stars, in the heart of the Black Land. Sleep.